Phil, we are here.
We made it.
Yeah, thanks for joining me today.
Sure, thanks for having me.
You know, I was just thinking earlier, your wife was helping you, and it seems like that's what my wife does a good bit.
Yeah.
I know one time some guy asked me a question, and I couldn't think of it, and she piped up, and he says, "I know who the brains of this operation is." So what's been happening in Phil world? What's been going on?
Well, we moved here to Georgia in October, and we bought a little house, and we've been adding a couple of rooms on it. So we just moved into that house maybe a week and a half ago.
Oh, nice.
So I'm in, this is my wife's office, and she does all the technical work. She's the one that should be doing this interview on technology because she knows it really well.
We may have to pull her in.
Yeah. Something goes wrong.
Doesn't she she does your web design, right?
She does all the web design, all the workshops she sets up, and anything computer-wise, she's doing it for the business. So
very nice.
I've got a studio I'm working on in a barn right next door. So
how big of a space is it?
Pretty big, 6 horse stalls. I'm not sure what that.
Is that like 30 feet? Phil has invented a new system of measure here. Yeah, my studio here's only 3 horse stalls.
Yeah. But it's nice and rustic. We're put some cement down on the horse stalls and
nice.
Get it painted up, getting all the horse smell out of it. So
that'll come with time. Get that turpentine in there.
That's right.
Linseed oil. That'll be wonderful.
That sweet turpentine smell.
Yeah, that's great. So you're having to do a lot of enclosing work on it?
On the barn? No, the barn's actually in pretty good shape.
Well, good.
Just adding lighting, making one of the stalls a storage room and a restroom.
Yeah.
So it's actually really, really good. Looking forward to having workshops there. Doing all
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
You're in my backyard. Well, you're not really in my backyard. You're kind of an hour and a half away, but that's close enough. Yeah. I live west of Atlanta, and you're northeast of Atlanta. So
okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, if you go out going toward Alabama. So yeah, so the goal of this show, we kind of tweak the name. I'm calling it Tools for Artists, AMA. AMA stands for Ask Me Anything. I could have said AUA, Ask Us Anything. Now that doesn't.
I looked that up, by the way.
Did you?
That AMA, and I wasn't sure what that meant. So.
Well, you got to keep up with the young kids, you know. Got to learn the lingo.
Right.
I am now emoji compliant, so. Yeah, AMA is an interesting. It gives us a pulse, allows us to see what's on our audience's mind, what people are talking about. One of the things in doing this podcast, The Artful Painter, is really, I learn a lot about the artists that I interview, but I get a lot of email and feedback from people, and I love that because they'll ask questions, they'll make comments, and you kind of get an idea of how they feel. And you've done that. You've had your own podcast at one time and your workshops, so you know what that's like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's helpful to get feedback, how people responded to it and everything.
So I wanted to backtrack a little bit. Last week, we had a question that came up about doing inventory, art inventory. Is that something that you do, Phil? Do you inventory your artwork? I had to admit that I don't do anything because I'm not gallery represented or anything like that. So I don't have a huge collection.
I used to have a numbering system, number on the back. Of course, I didn't use any computer programs. I just had a spreadsheet in Google Drive, and would just record the paintings where they went.
Yeah.
But I would number a corresponding number that told me what year and whatever. But that kind of fell by the wayside. I'm not sure why. I guess because I just wanted to paint more than sit there and record paintings, file them. So
See, that's not fun. It's like I have 100,000 photos or more,
Yeah.
and I have to admit I haven't gone in and tagged them or anything like that. So
Are you talking about actual photos or images in the computer?
in the computer.
Okay.
I don't want to even talk about the actual photos.
Yeah.
I have 8,000 feet or so of Super 8 millimeter film, which I will probably never ever see again because that's hugely expensive to transfer. And I've got a ton of 35 millimeter and 120 medium format film to scan. It's just there's just not enough time in a day.
No, I had about 500 or 600 photos, prints left over from the day.
Mm-hmm.
For digital, and I, over a spread of about 2 or 3 weeks, taking an hour or so a day, I just put them on a board and photographed them one at a time, and then stuck them in the computer. So that way, everything is digital instead of those tiny prints, and worked pretty good. But,
I'm not doing that.
and I'll probably never use them.
No, I'll do. Actually, I did. My youngest son did take a number of our photos and scan them. I've got those files somewhere, but it's not the entire collection. So,
yeah.
Oh well, one day that's not has nothing to do with art. It just
right.
That's just organization. But that was one of the questions we had last week. One was organizing your photos, tagging them, cataloging them, and
now I do on my computer for the digital images. I do have them categorized by state. So it just moved here from the Southwest. So I have files in Arizona, California, Colorado, New Mexico, and Wyoming and all that. And I will get them in the right folder.
Right.
And then I do have a kind of double catalog some of them. I have a file for horses, which might be horses from Arizona, so they might be in the Arizona file, but they'll also be in a horse file. Same thing with interesting trees, because sometimes I'll pick and choose images and put them together in one painting. So I'll have a file on mountains and trees, and then everything will also be filed in state or region. So, which is helpful. Otherwise, you're flipping through 5,000 photographs to find one. So.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Apple Photos to get that smart where I can type in trees, and it just shows trees. Yeah. I think it'll do Face ID, which is scary.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
And it does location. I can type in Booth Museum or Cartersville or someplace like that, and it'll find everything.
It's location on the photos now.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, but that would be interesting if they had AI for recognizing stuff that's in the photo.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want them to do that. But
yeah. Yeah, they're going to be recognizing too much, I think, pretty soon.
Hey, speaking of using Photoshop and tools like that and creating developing ideas for painting, I got this question. I got this earlier, actually, before we got started. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Oh, I thought I had it here. Give me a second. I know I've got it. There it is. So this is from Candy. She asked this question. I'm looking for an app where I can crop images to panel canvas sizes. Currently, I use online photo editor, Pixlr Editor. They have a tool where you can crop to 7:5, either horizontally or vertically, and 6:8 horizontally, but not vertically. I would like to have both if possible. The vertical for still lifes mainly. Any suggestions? Thank you, Candy.
Oh, I know Candy.
Hi, Candy Hogan. You know her. Okay, great.
Good to be here today.
Nice.
Yeah, to find the exact size, like the framed or the painting size, I just use Photoshop. But as far as another app, Photo Editor, I think she was saying.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give a wide variety of shapes and sizes.
So I do have a free one that they could use. Have you ever heard of Snapseed by Google?
No. Uh-uh.
It's available on Android. It's available for iOS. It's free. It's a free download. I use that app probably more than any other photo editing app on the iPhone.
Snapseed?
Snapseed. It's one of the things I like about it. It has a very flexible cropping tool. So you can crop it to however you want. So if you're using an unusual aspect ratio, you can do that. It'll be a freeform crop, or you can set it at standard aspect ratios like 4:3, which is some of the old photo. You know, some of the sizes that we do as artists actually was determined by photographers.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So 8x10, 11x14, 5x7, 4x6, 4x5.
Yeah.
All of those sizes were based on the aspect ratio of the negatives that were used to take portraits with. And so that's why we're stuck with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
But as artists, we don't have to be stuck with those. But that was a mechanical limitation.
Right.
But Snapseed's a great app. It's free. It's very easy to use. Yeah.
I do use, of course, I use Photoshop mostly.
Oh, yeah. On my desktop, I do too. Yeah.
And it has a membership fee to it. But on the iPad and the phone, Photo Editor and Pixlr. Also PicMonkey, which I think, I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I've not ever used PicMonkey, but I know some people that do. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Is that a subscription service?
No, it's free.
Oh, wow.
Now you can advance and take the, you can pay for a bigger version of it that has more stuff. But as far as just putting the photo in, cropping it, messing with the contrast and the brightness and all that stuff, it's pretty good. And that's about all I use it for anyway.
Right.
I'm still doing the pencil and paper, figuring out size.
Yeah.
And I still do the thumbnail even after, you know, I can put it in Photoshop or put it in Photo Editor, turn it black and white. Sometimes I'll use Photoshop, or on my iPad I have, get it here, I forgot the name.
While you're looking for that, I just want to acknowledge Margaret C. has dropped in, and Morris Jensen. He's all the way from France. He was with us last week. Oh, Margaret.
Great. Welcome.
I got to show you this, Phil. Okay, so she says, I just typed Barnes in a search on my iPhone photos, and several came up. Wow. Get out. I've got to try that. Oh, that is awesome.
What was it she typed in?
Was that in, so that was in the Photos app, Margaret? If you're still listening, if you're still here, let me know.
Oh, interesting.
Let's see if I have Barnes. I'll try that. I got 6 results, Phil. And they are Barnes.
I'll be done.
5 of them are in Colorado, and then one is not really a barn, but it's a house that's kind of worn down and looks like a barn. So not bad. Not bad. Margaret, you get the gold star for the day. Thank you. That is incredible. I didn't know. Yeah. Good.
Scary, but good.
She says, oh, you typed in trees. Okay. I'm going to try that too, Margaret. Let me try it. Trees. If I had enough USB ports, I'd have my phone plugged into to the computer so you could see this as it happens in real time. Oh my goodness. I got 611 photos that have discernible trees in them.
Wow. That's incredible.
This is, Margaret, man, this is great. Thank you for letting us know. That is incredible.
Well, that'll change my whole afternoon this afternoon. I'll be playing with that all afternoon.
Oh, goodness. No more tagging my photos. Oh, goodness. Yeah. So I interrupted you on that. I got excited by her comment there.
Oh, that's okay.
So you started to say something about Photoshop.
Well, on my iPad, I use Procreate.
Oh, that's an awesome program.
Which is, when I bought it a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, it was $12.
Yeah. It's well worth the money.
Yeah. It's very, very inexpensive. Of course, I have to use the Apple Pen with it or some kind of pen right on the iPad. It does do the finger, I think. I think you can use a finger as well, but the Apple
you can,
pencil,
but the pencil actually is pressure sensitive. So
yeah, Yeah, it really works well. So I will, on my thumbnail drawings, before I do a studio painting, I really rely on those. And using Procreate or Photoshop, I will kind of map out my shadow pattern sometimes, pull that together so it becomes more simple. And I will use that. But I still always do the actual drawing. I still do thumbnail sketches because I feel more in tune with what I'm doing when I do that. I do find the...
So you're doing it on paper?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, even if I do it on Photoshop or Procreate, I still do it on paper also. I think I do the digital
so
strictly because I enjoy it. It's something different, doing the same thing with a different medium.
Yeah.
So kind of plan out my thumbnails that way.
So a friend of mine from Houston, Texas, Kelly Bailey, he just says, hey, that search on the phone works on my Android too. Good to know. Thanks, Kelly. We have just liberated a whole legion of artists from the need to tag their photos.
That's great.
Our job is done here, Phil.
So you can also do it by location. You can probably type in a location you've been. Huh, interesting. So what about year? I guess year would do the same thing.
Yeah.
So
neat. Wow. So do you so when you're in Procreate, going back to Procreate or even Photoshop, do you take your photos? Are you cutting the photos and kind of experimenting with composition, or are you also doing some? Well, you mentioned the value studies, but are you also using it for compositional purposes?
Yeah, mainly composition. Because right away you can crop and zoom in, move it around to find out where you think you have a focal point when you took the picture.
Right.
But when you see it on a computer screen, you can kind of crop and zoom another direction and come up with a whole different painting. So I find it a lot easier. A good photograph will have a couple of good paintings in it.
A couple?
I have 2 or 3, yeah.
Well, that's a good way to look at it. I have to admit, I haven't been open-minded enough to consider that.
Yeah. It helps me just to strictly think compositionally and just play around with that photograph as much as possible. And the computer helps you really do that without, a lot of extra drawing. Again, I still do the thumbnail drawings, so I'm probably just adding more work to myself doing the computer, because I still do the thumbnail, but it does help me see it differently.
Sure.
And I just enjoy doing it. I used to do watercolor before I would do an oil, just a real quick, small one, thumbnail color, watercolor, or watercolor black and white. But I've kind of stopped doing that. The computer kind of gives me that spontaneity of just a different medium.
Well, the brushes in Procreate, it's uncanny how realistic they can be with different media like wash and watercolor and even oil paint. I think it's more convincing with the watercolor tints and things like that. Yeah.
And I don't worry too much about the look of it. It's mainly just simplifying shapes, pulling values together a bit more, so that when I actually go to the painting, I've simplified values, shapes, created a good composition. I mean, if you have those 3 things, good composition, good values, and shapes, the painting is just a lot easier.
Right. So Margaret's asking us this question. She says, "How did you learn to use Procreate? I have it, but I'm really not competent with it."
I found a tutorial on YouTube. It was an hour long, and he went into everything. And it might have been a bit more than an hour. I might have just watched an hour. And I don't, same way with Photoshop and Procreate, I don't know everything about it. I'm not really good at it, but I know how to use it for what I want. And so I watched that tutorial. I was planning on watching 2 or 3. I'll see if I can dig it up.
Yeah, if we can find that, we can put it in the show notes, the comments for this after we get done with the live stream. Yeah, so we can add that.
It was a good tutorial that made it a lot easier.
I think Skillshare has some good ones. Of course, there's a ton. I think the advantage of Procreate over all the other apps in many respects, is just a wealth of information that's available. I think Domestika has some courses, though a lot of those are in foreign language, which, if you speak Spanish, Portuguese, or some other, they're all English subtitled.
Yeah.
But it is a good resource. There's quite a few. Yeah, but YouTube, oh my goodness, there's so many. And I think even the Procreate website itself has some tutorials on it. I
imagine so, yeah.
Another one that I was using is Affinity Photo. Affinity Photo, Affinity Designer on the iPad. I think, but there's not as many resources for those. I mean, they're both great great apps, but I think Procreate, just because it's the sheer numbers of how many people have it, is probably the best way to go if you just want to get one app to do everything on an iPad or an iPhone or Android device.
Yeah.
I guess
I do enjoy taking Procreate once in a while, and just for the fun of experimenting with digital stuff and just paint a painting. So I'll have a reference and use the palette on Procreate and all the brushes. Not just taking a photo and trying to simplify it. And I really enjoyed that too. Now, I don't do anything with it necessarily. I could, I guess, paint from that. But again, just another way of seeing my subject. Besides just, so.
It's just astonishing the tools that we have with that. By the way, Chris Chapin just dropped in and said, I searched my photos on my iMac, and it wanted to know if I wanted oak trees, palm trees, Christmas trees, etc. Cool. Wow. So on the Mac, it's even more sophisticated.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Neat. And let's see here. I got one from, this is from Morris Jensen, our artist friend in France. Plus, watercolor sketches are great for monotone values, Payne's gray, FUM, burnt sienna mix. So, yeah. Thanks, Morris. Appreciate that.
Yeah, that is true. You can...
sometimes I feel guilty if I'm just sitting down watching TV. And we've done far more TV watching during this COVID thing than I care to admit.
Right.
So I feel like I have to make up for it by having my iPad in my hand. And that's when I do scribble a lot with some of these apps and experiment with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another good app I've deleted it since, and I might add it on again.
So how's it a good app if you deleted it?
Well, I had to change phone.
Oh, okay.
My old phone was so crammed full of stuff that I had to delete everything. I just haven't brought it back on. But it's called Napkin Sketch.
Napkin Sketch.
Yeah, and it's just, of course, I have the larger iPhone.
You got what is it, that 11 or 8 or 9, 10, something?
I think this is the 11.
It's one of those.
You just pull up Napkin Sketch, and it's a white background, and you use your finger, and it's sensitive, I guess, something to do with the app. But I'll sketch if I'm like at airports or a shopping mall. I don't, I can just sit and wait for someone to be finished. I can sketch. Just bang my phone.
So, hey, I'm not responsible for you breaking that phone.
There's no insurance during this.
No. My colossal disclaimer there. Napkin Sketch is the name of the app? Okay.
Yeah. And of course, you're not doing finished drawings, but it's a gesture.
Yeah.
I looked at that last night because I was thinking of things to talk about today. It doesn't look the same, so I'm not sure what that is. But
that's not the same app? Okay.
And it just allowed me to do quick gestures wherever I was. Even in the car, if I wasn't driving, I could look out and do quick gestures of landscape. I mean, it's just a different way of sketching if you don't have the sketchbook.
I see Napkin Note, email yourself, Napkin App, Napkin Sketch Stage, and then Napkin Sketch. Well, just let me know afterwards if you think of it.
Okay, I'll look that up and download it and see what it.
Pretty cool.
Does. But that was good too.
Yeah.
Again, you always have your iPhone with you, so.
But
a lot of these apps kind of come and go too. They used to have a real good one on the phone that planer painters use, and it's no longer available, I guess.
Which one was that?
I can't remember what it was either, but it would find the notan or the shadow pattern for you. You could crop.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think there's one that's, I don't know, it's probably not the same app then, but there is a Notan app out there.
Is there?
Let me look real quick. NotanIzer is the name of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, NotanIzer. So it does grayscale and Notan. I have that one. That's the only one. There's also a Notan Live that's out there. I haven't tried that. It's interesting. It's an artist visualization tool. It's 99 cents. Actually, that looks pretty interesting. I may get that. See, that's the problem with some of these apps. It's like buying a candy bar.
Yeah, that's right.
You buy it, you eat the candy bar, and you're done with it.
And that's true with some of the apps too.
Yeah.
Buy it, look at it, and then you're done with it pretty much.
Yeah.
But some of them are kind of helpful, or at least they're kind of fun to mess around with. And I use them a lot too, especially Photoshop and Procreate to critique work for workshops, the online workshops people send in work. And that's a great way to show someone else how to make changes. Or for my own painting, if I'm struggling, I'll photograph the painting, stick it in Procreate or Photoshop, and just kind of redo it.
So your students are sending you in a digital image of their artwork, and then you're annotating it in Procreate or something like that.
Yeah. Some of the workshops, there's that ability to send me the work to critique. So yeah, it makes it real easy because I can videotape the critique as I'm making changes and talk about what I'm doing. So
that is so neat. You know, I wonder if Famous Artist School would still be around if they'd had that technology then.
Yeah,
because that's what I mean. You'd send in the thing, and you had to wait several weeks. Yeah. But I've got one set, and they've actually got one of the critiques on there, and it's really fascinating to see how much time those instructors put into that thing. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So you do a video. How long?
Just a screen flow.
Yeah.
Photoshop, and it's about 30 to 40 minutes. Because I do it in layers. I'll talk about how I would start the painting, make some changes.
Right.
Early stages of the painting, and then go to the middle stages, and then a little bit on finish.
Right.
But it's a great way to critique work.
Well, let's see here. Got another.
Oh, Candy.
Oh, there it is. Candy's back. Yep. Let's see. I don't have an iPhone, just an Android. Can you suggest apps for a desktop also? Tend to use that more than my phone. Thanks. And she says, "Hi, Phil. Hope you're loving your new locale."
Yes, we are. Thanks, Candy.
So Candy, I don't know what budget range you're looking for there. So you want an app? Are you on a Mac or Windows? That would be helpful to know.
And it was for desktop?
Yes, she says desktop. Can you suggest apps for a desktop also? If you're in the $50 range, you want a Photoshop clone and you just pay for it once, I would recommend Affinity Photo. It's an excellent program. I have it.
And that's for a desktop?
It's for a desktop. It's available for Mac and Windows, and it works the same on both platforms. Oh, she says she's on Windows. Okay. So yeah, look into Affinity Photo. It's $50. Excellent app. It's the only time you'll ever pay for it. $50. Whereas Photoshop, we pay. Do you have the full Creative Cloud subscription?
I think we pay 10 or 12 a month.
How much?
$10 or $12.
So you got the photo. You got the photo. Yeah. So that's $10 a month. That's $120 a year.
Yeah.
I'm paying $50 a month. $52. Actually, I think it comes out to $53 because I'm using Adobe Audition, which I use to edit the podcast. And
okay.
Yeah, and there's not a better audio editor out there for that format. If you're doing music and stuff like that, there's plenty of good DAWs, but that one, I can't live without Adobe Audition.
Well, it's worth it. It's probably plus it's a tax write-off. So.
Yeah. Not that counts for much anymore. The way I look at it is I try not to justify the expense based on not exemptions, but because it just doesn't amount to much anymore. But will it make me money, or at least make me productive so that I get the best use of my time?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. She says, I got a little bit of a lag here. There we go. Okay, let's see what she got. She says, thanks. I was paying for Photoshop, but did not take the time to learn it, so dropped it. Figured time spent on trying to paint was more important. You make a good point there.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That PicMonkey.com is pretty good. I mean, that's if you're just dealing with photos, how to crop them, maybe add more contrast. Because every time I take a photo and put it in Photoshop or PicMonkey, I can always need some kind of contrast adjustment and value adjustment.
Is that a free service, or is it a subscription service as well?
It's free.
It's free. Okay, PicMonkey.
Of course, you could pay more. You could pay something and get more.
Yeah.
But it has a real good photo editing thing with it. So
nice.
That's the one I kind of recommend. I mean, you have to sign up. You have to give them your email and all that stuff. And,
right.
Get emails and announcements from them, but it is free.
Yeah. So you'll be using it in a browser on your desktop.
Yes.
So it's not a desktop app, but it runs on the browser.
Exactly. Yeah. So you pull up Google or something and type in PicMonkey.com and you can, and it'll access your photos and you can pull them up and adjust.
Right.
There's storage there also. You can have your own storage and projects working on. So it is a pretty good free thing.
Yeah. Candy says she joined Gabor's group. Yeah, he's a pro at using Lightroom and Photoshop. Oh my goodness!
But I think he has a DVD, or not DVD. Should we make DVDs anymore? He has a download on how to use Photoshop and Lightroom. So
I don't think I have any apps that can burn a DVD anymore. But interestingly enough, by the way, I know you do video tutorials and use it with your coaching and that sort of thing. And what do you use to edit your video with?
I think just iMovie.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, on the Mac. I mean, it's a great little program. It works.
Yeah. For all I need.
Yeah. Pinnacle has just put out a video software for Windows. People are always asking me about Windows software editing app, and I can never think of anything that's any good, except for there's Filmora and there's Pinnacle, and they just released a new version. The top end version is like $130, and from what I'm reading, it's really good. Yeah, Filmora is a good resource as well if you're editing video on a Windows.
Is that a one-time fee, the $130?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's not bad.
Yeah. Same with the Mac. I use Final Cut Pro. It is a one-time purchase. So I bought it 10 years ago, not quite 10 years ago. I think it came out 2011, I believe is when it came out. So that's when I bought it. And I've used that ever since. Even before then, I used Final Cut Pro before what it is today. It was a $1,200 package. Oh, I can't bring myself to throw it all away because I paid so much for it.
Well, does that even work as you upgrade your computer?
Yeah,
because I have that problem with Photoshop, or not Photoshop. With Photoshop, I use the Wacom tablet.
Yeah.
And then I had to upgrade my server on the iMac, and the Wacom wouldn't
work. See, that's what happened to me. I had the Wacom tablet as well, and it just stopped working. It wouldn't, and they wouldn't update it anymore. So I basically had to throw it away. It wasn't useful anymore.
We did do something. I have to try to remember what I did. I think I had to shut down Wacom, just get rid of it, and then sign up again. And it's working. Little glitches, not as good as it was, but you can still use it.
Sure. So Joanne Gilmer says, "Hi, Phil. I love Easel Insights. Thanks for all you do for us." Joanne.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's a fun group to interact with. Everybody posts work on the Facebook group, and videos come out every week, and it's neat to see the work they're doing. So,
neat.
And that's what I do. I will download their images that they post on Facebook and make a couple little changes in Photoshop or Procreate. In this, and just to do that for your own painting too, to see what's going to work, is really helpful.
So speaking of Wacom tablet, going back to that, years ago I developed a bad case of carpal tunnel, and so what I did is I started. Apple had come out with a trackpad, and what I discovered with the trackpad was that I could rest my wrist on the desk, so I never have to lift my arm. So it lays on the desk, and there's a setting in Mac OS where all I have to do is touch the screen. So it's just like I will admit it was very frustrating to kind of figure it out. It took about 3 weeks, but once I did, I could not go back. I mean, I know, some of the MacBooks have a trackpad too, and it works similarly, but this is such a larger surface, and it sits to the side, so I don't have to be putting my hand in front of the laptop. Yeah. It just sits over here to the side. So it's a good carpal tunnel saver. And while it's not a Wacom substitute by any means, but it's a close substitute for me because I can just use my fingers on there. You don't have the pressure sensitivity that you do with the Wacom tablets, which made it so nice to use.
Yeah, it is. But you might try that. You might just
I'll have to do that.
Just get out of Wacom, just eliminate it and sign up for it again and see what happens.
Well, and you know what? If you're using Procreate, I mean, that's a pretty good. You've got the pressure sensitivity, and you could do it all right there within Procreate or some other app that's comparable.
It is. What I like about the Photoshop, and I don't know, maybe there's something I can do with Procreate too, but I can do the screen flow in the Photoshop.
Yeah, that's true.
Talk through what I'm doing.
To it. Yeah. I know the iPad you can record the screen, but I don't know that it records like as you speak into the microphone or something like that. Yeah. No, ScreenFlow is a great app too.
Yeah.
I know people who edit all their video in ScreenFlow.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to do that.
It got slow. It's a kind of a slow app if you use it for editing.
Yeah, I don't do much editing. I film what I'm doing as far as a critique or doing a full video on painting. I might chop it in the beginning or chop it at the end or take out a cough or two, but that's about it.
So I'm gonna switch over. I want to show people your website. I'm sure some of the folks here are already familiar with your website, but I got a question about it. That's not it.
Well, I haven't seen.
By the way, this is another. I forgot to mention this. This is kind of a PicMonkey alternative. It's called Be Funky, and it does have a free version of it, and it's very easy to crop. In fact, that's the.
What's it called?
It's called Be Funky, BeFunky.com.
Sounds like an app.
Yeah, but it's all within the browser, so it's like PicMonkey. Yeah. So So you have two websites. You have Phil Starke Fine Artist, and then you have Phil Starke Studio, and that's where you do your mentoring and your courses, right?
Yes. Yeah.
These are beautiful websites.
Yeah, Sherry does both those.
Yeah.
So.
Now, in the past, I've talked about I know most artists are on FASO. A very small number is on, let's see, what is it called? Art storefronts, which is hugely expensive and high pressure sells. Sorry. I'm just calling it like I see it in this particular case here. I hope I don't offend anybody with that. A Squarespace. I just got off. I'm editing a podcast right now. I was hoping to have it out today, but it has a video component to it. It's with TJ Cunningham. You and I met him and saw his artwork at the booth back in January. Yeah. Just an amazing young artist. Yeah, he uses Squarespace.
So that'll have video with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. You'll see some of his paintings as you listen to the podcast there. Yeah. He uses Squarespace, but you use something different. Do you know what your wife is using on your website?
I do not.
Ignorance is bliss. What we need to do is just hire Sherry.
I could bring her in here. But,
well, I know
I'm not sure what she.
I know what it's WordPress. You're in WordPress.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, right. So that's another alternative for artists to use. It's a little more complicated to use, but you got a lot of flexibility with it. I did at one time have mine on WordPress, but I got to where I just didn't want to deal with it as much. But it's still it's an excellent platform. It's probably the most flexible platform someone could have a website hosted on.
Yeah. She. I know she has to do all the writing. I don't know anything about it, writing the codes or whatever. It takes a long time, but
sure,
yeah, she does a great job.
Well, I just wanted to show everybody because it's a beautiful website. I'm on a mission to help artists have better looking websites because I've just seen so many that look like they're stuck in the 1990s. So I just wanted to make sure that I know it's not fun to have to think about it.
Right. Oh, I imagine not. I mean, I don't think about it, so I don't know what that would be like. But yeah, I do appreciate it that she does everything for her business she doesn't have to paint. So she does everything else besides the painting, basically.
That's her creative outlet.
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting. Behind many artists is a great spouse.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. She does a great job.
I know my wife, she doesn't do the website and things like that. She's my accountant. She's my CPA. She's my bookkeeper.
Okay.
Lord knows where I'd be if I had to do all of that. It would be a terrible thing for me to do those things.
It's a time sucker, those things.
Yeah.
Accounting and bookkeeping.
So we'll start wrapping this up. We don't have any more questions. Unless anybody has any more questions, we'll start wrapping the show up. But I did want to talk about a little bit of a follow-up to a video I did the other day. I had a really bad experience buying an art book on eBay. Have you ever had any bad experiences buying from a seller on eBay?
I haven't.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. I mean, I don't get it. The biggest problem I'll have sometimes is just the way things are packaged. But it's not the end of the world. But the other day I bought a book and I was just so excited. It was by Joseph McNaney, who was the illustrator for Ray Bradbury, science fiction writer, and I thought, oh, this is cool. So I didn't, wait a minute. I forgot to do my, I'm not moderating the way I ought to. Morris says, okay, talking about websites. Let's go back to that just for a second. He says that he is using, he uses a free one. I use Wix freebie or pay for more, pros and cons. Okay, so that's a good thing.
Oh, okay.
It's true. You can do a Wix website for free. The only downside to me, I think, is you see the Wix branding. And a lot of features are hidden or cut.
You have to put up with advertising.
Yeah, but I've seen some beautiful websites done with Wix. The only thing that I'm concerned about with Wix, I know they're doing a big update to the way they handle their user interface, which will probably make them more in line with WordPress's. WordPress is now trying to get drag and drop building into their website. It wasn't that way, but now you can drag a block of text, an image, and put it where you want it, and it's there. And Wix is doing the same thing on a higher level. They've always had that, but it's on a higher level, more flexible level. The challenge with Wix is if you want to change your template, you can't. Once you're in it, you're pretty much you're stuck with that. And that makes me nervous, and it's hard to get your stuff out of Wix. So if you decide you want to
website, you really need different templates to set things up. So.
Yeah. I mean, they got some but once you're there, you just can't change it up.
Yeah.
And I'm not crazy about that. Weebly is kind of the same area. Once you choose a template, I think you're kind of stuck with it.
Yeah.
It's hard to get your data out of it. With Squarespace, they have the concept of, they do have templates, but really what it is you have a framework and you have, I guess for lack of a better word, different styles, but it's still the same framework. So you can easily switch between them, change it up, adjust it, and it's okay. You're not stuck with one. You can go anywhere. And then the other thing is you can use you can export your data. Most of it is still, it's not 100%, but that's true with any website, even WordPress. Going from one WordPress theme to another can cause problems, but it does have an export function there.
Yeah. And I think Sherry also finds the tech support's pretty good too. Yeah,
exactly. Well, there's just a huge community for it. And there's a lot of resources on YouTube and elsewhere. So it's WordPress is it's kind of like the way Windows was at one time. There were just so many resources for it. So if you got yourself in trouble, you could find somebody that could get you out of it. So back to Margaret says, yes, and PayPal saved me. So that's going back to our eBay discussion. So here's what happened. And one thing that you have to watch out for when you're buying any kind of book, but I'm going to just focus in on art books. So I bought this book by Joseph Magnani. I already have one of his volumes, which was pretty interesting. He's a very interesting fellow. But I got his book, The Hidden Elements of Drawing. And I was excited when I found it because it was a very affordable price. The picture looked like it was pretty good. So boom, I bought it and I get it. And it's not what I bought. It didn't have the dust jacket. And so, and I'm not eBay savvy, but I have a brother that is, I have sisters that are. And so I did a little bit of digging and I found out that what booksellers are doing, some of them, they're using stock photos
of the same book and not showing their copy.
Yeah, and it's against eBay's policy to show you can use a stock photo for a new item. That's okay. You can use a stock photo for a new item. But if it's used, you have to use a real photo of the actual item. And so many of these booksellers, they do not do that. And so you don't know what you're getting. So anyway, I got that book and I contacted the seller and they sent me this snarky response saying that you should have read the description. Yeah, I should have. And I didn't. And but what I did do is I wrote back to him. I says, well, I made the decision based on your photo. I thought that's what I was getting. And reminded them that the policy was that you have to show a photo of the actual item.
Right.
And they never responded. So a week went by. And so today, my expiration period for resolving the matter expired, and eBay stepped in and they made them take the book back. And pay see, they weren't even going to pay postage for the return of the item. But it's just a heads up. There's some sellers out there that are unscrupulous and they're using stock photos for some of these books. And
most people are realizing they made a mistake buying it wouldn't put forth the effort I think you did to try and get their money
Yeah,
back.
and
So, lesson learned. And
I think in my video I said, there are bigger problems in the world than trying to fight for something
but
like
still,
this.
the principles there. And
Exactly. I don't want people to be ripped off. If you can go in, I should have been more informed and I wasn't. It's caveat emptor. I just wasn't. And I felt bad about that. I felt silly, to tell you the truth, embarrassed that how did I fall for this? But by and far, my experiences with sellers on eBay have been good. Booksellers. This is art related. It's art related. I think you started this, Phil. I think it was you. I can't remember if it was you or Gabor or somebody. You showed, I think it was you. Didn't you do a post on Carlson's Guide to Landscape Painting? And I think in some of the comments, they were talking about color plates in the Carlson books. Was it you?
oh yeah. The old editions had. Yeah, isn't that great? But
Yeah.
of course, the odd thing is it's in watercolor, not oil, because back then oils did not print well.
Let me see if I can find it. I got it bookmarked. I don't know how. Yeah, it doesn't say what. It probably is a watercolor. It's the only color photo in the whole book.
Yeah, that's great.
But I thought, wow, because most of us have this one, But
right. Yeah. You can still find those hard copies.
This one was $10.
Yeah, they're not that
$10. I said, and they showed a photo. They gave I knew what I was getting. And what they did is they sent me an email and said, hey, thank you for your order. Packaging it up and it's on its way. So I was just so, such a contrast. But anyway, that's my PSA for the day. That was my follow-up. eBay did go to bat for me. And hopefully for anyone else that gets snookered into that.
That is good to know that they will step in, take care of stuff like that. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been fun chatting for the last hour. So appreciate you joining us here.
Yeah, I'm not as technology savvy maybe as some of the artists, but should have had my wife do this interview instead of me.
We might just have to do that one day. Yeah. But isn't it as just as much us asking questions as our audience? I mean, that's what the fun of talking about. I mean, there are the noble goals, design and composition and telling a story and color and all of that kind of thing. But there's the fun side of it. I mean, that's fun, but talking about the tools and the technology, sometimes that can be frustrating, but to me, it's fun to talk about it.
Well, if we hadn't done this, Margaret wouldn't have checked out the.
Yeah, I mean, why were we here, Phil? Margaret should have done the show.
You'll have to retitle this show.
Yeah, Margaret saves the day.
That was great.
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to end the stream now, but
All right.
a replay should be available for the next. It usually takes YouTube a couple hours to re-encode it and all that. But if you didn't get to catch it live, it's still available. And I'll try to put some links in the description. I'm not going to do it right away, but once it goes up and it's published, I'll put some links in there to some of the things that we were talking about. Oh, let me do.
There is one question. Do we have time to answer that, or?
Let's do this.
Sorry.
You're talking about this one from Andrea Cosmo?
Andrea, yeah, I know Andrea too. So.
Why don't you do the question and get us started here?
Okay. Andrea says, I know you guys are wrapping up, but what software do you use to manage your reference photos? What's your process for managing the photos, gathering, uploading, tagging? Well, I think we kind of mentioned we don't do any of that.
Yeah, sorry, Andrea.
But what I do is I just put them in files of location, and then files of subject matter. So I'm double filing my 10,000 reference photos. And then that's when Margaret chimed in and found out that if you did type in a subject, what was it, Google Photos, or I don't know what it was, the iMac photos, that it will bring up those photos that have those subjects in it. So that was a good. But I don't do any cataloging. Really no need. I have an external drive where I store it, and then I have another external drive where I have copies.
That's probably the most important thing, really, just having multiple backups of your photos.
Exactly. And then, of course, Google Photos, all my photos for my iPhone, which is about what I use anymore to take pictures, it goes to the cloud right away. So I have 3 backups of all my photos. And eventually I get to all of them, most of them, and I sort them by location and then sort them again by subject. So.
Yeah. Well, I think the software developers got smart and realized we weren't going to take the time to sit down and key in all this information. So, yeah. Andrea, I don't want you to feel bad about coming in late on this. It's okay, But at the beginning, one of our listeners, Margaret, came up with a solution that we didn't know, that iPhotos, as well as I think the same is true on the Google side, Android side, that you can do search on subjects like trees, barns, houses, cars, which is amazing.
It is.
Yeah, it's just absolutely amazing. So that is the best tip that came out today with this show. So, yeah.
Also, if you have Amazon Prime, you get Amazon Photos, which is also in the cloud for storage. So.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Yeah, Candy Hogan says yes, because I lost tons of photos 2 years back. Now she has an external. I'm still crying over that loss. And by the way, don't have just an external. You don't have a backup unless you have 3 copies.
That's right.
And one of them's off-site.
Yeah,
I mean, you really don't have a backup unless one's off-site. What happens if your house burns down?
That's true.
There's a theft or something like that, a flood. Yeah. So
I probably won't paint 1/10 of the photos that I have already, but it'd still be a shame to lose them.
Oh, sure, because they're memories, right? I mean, it's not just for art; it's for family and friends and experiences. Yeah,
exactly.
So true. Okay, we got to wrap this up. So thanks a lot, Phil. Where can people find out about you? Where's the best place to go? Where you want them to go to find out about you?
Starke, just philstarke.com.
There you go.
And a link to the website for classes and things like that. So.
Yeah. Well, and stay tuned for your podcast feeds or YouTube. Either way, there's a new episode of The Artful Painter coming out. This one features T.J. Cunningham, a remarkable young painter. I mean, he is incredible.
Very good.
So be sure to check that out. You'll enjoy that interview. He shares a lot of great information. He talks about self-representation versus gallery. He was in galleries, but he doesn't use galleries anymore. He does everything in-house in his home studio and his website. Thought that was very interesting. It's a neat discussion.
Definitely look at that.
Yeah. All right, Phil. We'll see you later, okay?
Thanks, Carl. Appreciate it.